Go.
And welcome, pod lovers, to another let's start again.
You're still a bit low, you know, Abid. You need to higher your volume maybe a little bit.
Honestly, I don't know how I got to where I'm getting. At least I'm listening.
Well, we've only wasted 3 hours waiting for you to log in.
Exactly. I had no idea because I'm in general now, and okay, I don't know how to put the. Let me
just go back to that piece of paper, the blank one that you've written all your thoughts down on.
Oh, I've turned the volume up now. Is that better?
Yeah, that's better.
Oh, fantastic. All right. Love you still, guys. All right, let's start. We need to put something about Jurgen Klopp, whether he's signed off on this statement by FSG. So we'll stick that in there somewhere, okay?
All right, we'll just carry on anyway. I've left it already.
All right, let's do the countdown again.
3, 2, 1, go.
Welcome, pod lovers, to another coronavirus podcast. To be honest, we're doing this podcast because we're really bored and not because we're doing an altruistic public service. With me again is Ed001 and Ed025. I'm not even sure we have anything to talk about, but let's give it a go. So, lads, how are you both?
I was just thinking, if we were doing an altruistic public service, we wouldn't be putting any of these out, would we? Doing them all a favour.
So how are you, lads?
Yeah, I'm good, thanks.
Yeah, same as always.
Well, you never leave the house, yeah. No,
yeah.
Then, yeah.
The only difference is now it seems like everyone seems to text me non-stop now. Suddenly I've developed friends. Not that I'm suggesting that they're bored or anything.
Oh, you lose them very quickly, mate. Don't you worry.
I tell you what, I can't wait till they can go out again.
You just have to reply back to their text and you'll lose them, mate. Don't you worry, pal.
Reply?
Your winning personality will shine through again. Don't you worry.
Reply? What's that mean? I don't do that.
All right, guys. Let's crack on. I suppose we'll have to begin with Liverpool's the statement Liverpool brought out yesterday about furloughing all staff with the exemption of playing staff. Is that correct?
Say that again. What was it you said?
Furloughing.
Right, just checking.
Let's Fairclough. I don't know.
I'm just thinking, I don't think you know what that word is, do you? You haven't seen it before, had you?
Actually, I do know what furloughing is, and I can spell it as well, actually.
I bet you spell it better. You end it with NG because you've been watching too much horse racing.
So, is that correct that Liverpool are furloughing all staff with the exemption of playing staff?
No, not all. Some.
Well, you can elaborate, Tristan.
Well, yeah, because it's not frigging, the Michael Edwards or any of the well-paid ones. It's only the ones on the low wages. Basically, it's the low-paid ones that can qualify for the help.
So, I understand, lads, this is leaving a bitter taste in your mouth.
It certainly is with me. And that's not because I'm an Everton supporter, which we all know. It's just that for a team of Liverpool's stature, I thought they'd be better than this, to be honest.
And it's not just them as well. We just got to remember. I mean, I'm not trying to.
It's not, no.
I just want to make a point that, Premier League clubs all have a lot of money, and it's Liverpool, Newcastle, Bournemouth, Spurs, and Norwich of all furloughed staff. So this is it's a disgrace.
You've got to look to the likes of Spurs and Liverpool to set an example.
Well, Spurs, Liverpool, and Newcastle all made. Spurs could afford to pay a £7 million salary to Levy last year. 4 million, salary, and a £3 million bonus to Levy. So, how can they say they're short of money?
Yeah, I think it's a disgrace. I really
Liverpool
do.
announced a profit last season. How can they be short of cash?
This is clearly set
And
in
Newcastle
social media.
Under Mike Ashley, Newcastle have made a profit every year.
Yeah.
And they never spend their money. So how can they be short of money? It's disgusting what's happening. Bournemouth are owned by a rich Russian billionaire. Plenty of money. The whole thing's just a joke.
This is clearly set in social media ablaze, and it's this story is trending. And I listen. Let me play devil's advocate for a second, because what I didn't know before was you've just bestowed your wisdom upon me, but I didn't know that the people like Edwards and etc. weren't taking a pay cut. I thought they were taking a pay cut as well. But let me.
Well, we don't know whether they're taking a pay cut or not. No, nothing's been said about that. Just that they're not on furlough.
Right. Gotcha. So that would assume that they're not taking a pay cut then.
Well, you don't know. They don't have to announce they're taking one, do they?
Gotcha. Yeah, let's be fair to the club. Okay, let me play devil's advocate for a second. FSG. What people aren't appreciating, in my opinion, is that FSG are American. They're not Scousers, but good old-fashioned capitalists. They're from a culture they come from a culture of meritocracy. They come from a culture that furloughing is not stigmatized. It's expected. They have no birth affinity to our club. They will do what's financially beneficial for them. And let's face it, LFC staff will receive 100% of their wages.
But we'll be paying,
ethically and morally.
The taxpayers paying 80% of it.
Absolutely, but what I'm saying is, LFC staff will receive 100% of their wages, and when they want to pay their mortgage and they pay their bills and put food on the table, I'm not sure that they'll be too concerned that the taxpayer will be paying for it.
But is that right? Do you think what they're doing is right? Because
Billy,
they've got the money, Liverpool FC, as have Spurs, as have Bournemouth, and Newcastle, to do something in this time of crisis. This is a time of crisis for all countries, but we're concentrating on the British game at the moment. And what they're doing is they're taking money out of the pot and not putting in. Because if they're paying, expecting the government to pay the 80%, all they're giving is a pittance.
Okay. Bill, I hear what you're saying, mate, and again, I'm playing devil's advocate. It's easy for us to pontificate about FSG and the ethics and the morality of their decision, but are they breaking the law? No. And I'm sure they've paid their fair share of British taxes. So all they're doing is what's legal. I understand that there's an ethical situation here, but they're not breaking the law. They're not doing anything wrong.
Then they shouldn't own Liverpool Football Club, and they shouldn't be allowed to. They keep putting things like YNWA, you'll never walk alone. They keep talking about this means more when it's Liverpool. Well, does it?
That's all PR bullshit. That's not.
I don't care if it's. I don't care if it's PR. This is PR as well. What they've done is they've shot themselves in the foot massively in a PR. This is a massive PR own goal. There was no need to do this. Absolutely no need at all. And it's all gone quiet over there. It's all gone quiet over there. Nope. It might just be me on me.
Hang the head on.
Sorry, what?
Hello?
It all went quiet then.
What I'm saying...
Oh, no, hang on. My internet's gone off. That's why. Apologies, everyone, for my singing.
They're just hard.
Now we're back.
Sorry?
Sorry, I was just apologising for everyone listening because I was singing "It's All Gone Quiet" over there because the internet went off.
Oh, right, okay. You get it back quickly, no? Your internet, as soon as it goes off.
Yeah, it's just the VPN.
Oh, gotcha. Right, okay. So, yeah, as I said, they're doing it. They're beloved Red Sox also. I just think that I think maybe this is a cultural issue as well, because I think here in the States, furloughing it's not stigmatized; it's expected, and in England, I don't think it's much. We don't really see that.
Yeah, but the States don't have a national health service that's paid for by taxpayers.
No, but what I'm saying.
So
is
no,
also
but there's a totally different thing. You're getting, you're talking about, a country where everything's paid for by people themselves, whereas in the UK, the taxpayer pays for a national health service, and they're taking money away from the pot that should be going to the national health service right at the moment when we most need the national health service to be functioning at full efficiency. That's why this is a totally different situation, and what happens in America and what happens in the UK cannot be compared.
Americans pay taxes. There's a $2 trillion bailout from the American government.
Yes, but they don't pay for the national health service out of it. You don't get free health care in the US.
Of course they do. Of course they do. What about all the poor people that can't afford insurance? Where do they get their health care? It's paid for by the taxpayer.
It's not the same. Everybody has free health service in the UK. And they've been running it down for years. Oh, he's popular again.
Yeah, that's me, that.
But Bill, you heard of the silent tab?
He's never heard of that. He doesn't know how to do it.
I bet you wish your missus had heard of that.
I do now.
Yeah.
Give it another few days and you'll be desperate to find it.
Desperate for that mute button. Yeah. Yeah, I see. I've got as well. Also, I'm not in England, so I don't know the culture there at the moment. I don't know the wave of antipathy or the wave of anger towards this situation has caused. You know, the ill feeling this has caused either.
Well, obviously, I live on Merseyside, and a lot of my friends, Liverpool supporters, and they're disgusted at what Liverpool are doing.
And is this Billy? Is this a political issue? Are your friends social? I mean, are your friends socialists or whatever, or is it conservatives? Do the Conservatives have a different point of view?
No, I don't think they do.
Tories in Liverpool. You don't get many of them, mate.
You don't know.
That's the thing.
Okay,
It's Liverpool is a Liverpool club, and it's supposed to represent the community it plays for. You know what I mean? That's the whole point of it.
Chris is totally right there. It's about representing your city, and especially the way Everton are conducting themselves. Things could change.
Yeah, you can't.
Everton seem to be doing everything right at the moment.
Yeah, let's hope they stay that way. You haven't spoken too soon. But yeah,
I know, that's what I said.
You name yourself Liverpool FC. You're representing the city of Liverpool. You have to act as a good and moral representative of the people you're putting in there. You know what I mean? You can't just do what you like and say, well, yeah, but it's okay. It's their problem. Well, that's just wrong.
Yeah, you have to be an ambassador, don't you?
Yeah.
If you're going to put that in there.
Yeah.
Highlighting on what you guys are saying, I really believe that there's 5 Premiership clubs that have furloughed their staff. Is that correct?
Yeah.
I think that on the back of this, I don't think nobody else does it because the publicity is so negative. I don't think anybody wants any part of it. To be honest with you, I doubt they'll do it.
I don't know. Because now the rest of them have done it, it'll be all right. Like, you know what I mean? People won't.
But don't you think the bad publicity will outweigh any benefit of them doing it?
I think the runners a business, and it's a business decision. And I think that's a wrong thing to do at this time.
Yeah. Personally, I don't think nobody else will do it, or 1 or 2 more. I think that's
fingers crossed, mate. Fingers crossed.
Yeah, I don't think the whole Premiership will follow. I just think it's such bad. I mean, you've got supporters of their own club turning on them. You can't have that, you know. Liverpool
No.
supporters are turning on the club, and that's not happened in a long, long time.
No, it hasn't.
Ever.
But I'd like to see what Jurgen, because he's a man of the people. Yeah, he's classed as a man of the people.
Yeah.
I'd like him to come out and say something. He may do when Jordan Henderson brings his committee together that are going to do something, and he might say something then. But someone needs to speak up on Liverpool's behalf and ask the question: what are they doing?
Can you imagine what Shankly had said at this point?
I think he'd have walked out the door.
Yeah, he would have definitely 100%. He'd have walked. 100%. That would have been it. He'd have handed in his resignation the moment it happened.
Guys, can you see Klopp undermine his bosses though? I mean, it's a delicate situation here. Unless FSG do a back turn, a 180.
Well,
that's the only way. I don't see.
Look at where he comes from, though, mate. He comes from the Bundesliga, where the top 4 clubs that were in European competition, all clubbed together to pay money to those outside of the European competition places.
Yep.
There's a different attitude there. They see it as a club, as in they help each other.
I still think that this is a kind of a feather hammer, because the club are still the staff are still getting 100% wages. I don't.
Yeah, but it's not about the staff being paid.
Ruining it. It's about where it's coming from.
Yeah,
I get that. I just don't know, man. I just don't think this is going to be turned into a massive deal. It's
it already is to me.
I see where people. I honestly get the moral and the ethical viewpoint. I get that totally. I just don't see where. I'm not saying to storm in the teacup.
Yeah, but you're not a Scouser, and they just won over the Scousers, FSG, and this is just turned it on its head.
It's a really big deal in the city. It really is, and it's all over the local, and people online voicing the dissent, and locally it's an issue. It really is.
See, I haven't got my finger on the pulse as you have, Billy. I mean, obviously I don't live there, and I'm not at the epicenter of it, so
be careful putting your finger on Billy's pulse, because he's at his age you'll never find one.
I've only just about got one as it is.
Yeah, that's what I mean. You'll never find it. Be like me dad.
No, I think they're going to regret what they've done. They are going to regret it, I think. I think they might do a U-turn. I'm not sure. But the weight of public opinion in the city is certainly that they're out of order. I'd like to see them do a U-turn, and I'd like Jurgen Klopp to come out and say, we really need to look after the city, because he's all for the people of the city. He's a great ambassador for the city, and I think if he spoke up about it, I think FSG might just change their mind.
Oh, he's very jingoistic about his socialist leanings as well, So,
yeah.
Yeah, I hear you, Billy. I think I agree with you. I'm on board with you. I think that they might do a U-turn. They might do a 180 and retract that decision. I think
it'd be good for the club if they did. To be honest with you, they'd have a lot more feeling with the city, and
it would show a lot of it would show humility as well, and
they listen. Yeah, it shows that they listen. That's the thing.
Yeah. I wonder. I mean, it's interesting to see what happens there, because what you said, Billy, I'm not in the city, and I didn't realise the ill feeling was that the tide was that turned against them again.
Yeah, it has. It really has.
Wow, they've done that in one day. They tried. It's taken them 5-6 years to get it back, and they've done it in one day.
Yeah, basically they are.
Yeah. All right, the players don't want to take a pay cut because they're saying they'd rather donate than take less salary. What do you think, guys? As less money would go to the NHS if they did take a pay cut.
Well, this is Gordon Taylor again. He come out with this statement today about 500 million being taken off the players if they took a 30% pay cut, and that his logic was that 2 million of it would go in tax anyway. So it's not really worth them doing it, and I don't get that whatsoever.
Not 2 mil.
Sorry, 200 mil would be going in tax. So they're still getting 300 million. So I can't see a problem with it.
Tristan?
So I was going to let you do that. I was quickly grabbing a drink because we'd had to wait so many hours for you to come online. I was tired of doing this in the meantime.
I knew there had to be a reason why you'd give me some space to talk. It couldn't be just pure manners. Should be courtesy.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I'm just thinking, the situation you're talking about, like these players, they're not actually. Are they actually being asked to take a pay cut, or is it a wage deferral? Because there's a massive difference.
Yeah, it's a wage deferral.
In which case, they're going to get the money eventually anyway, so they'll pay that extra 200 million tax at some point anyway. So what's the issue? I'm failing to understand that anything other than Gordon Taylor's a complete arse.
And what I'm failing to understand is if 200 million goes to tax, then it's going into the NHS pot anyway. I mean, I don't understand what they're talking about.
Well, exactly.
But they haven't. Like you said earlier, alluded to earlier. They really haven't thought this out. They really haven't. I mean, it just sounds as if the monkeys are speaking at the moment. Like it's just there's
monkeys
no logic.
Make more sense than Gordon Taylor. Probably because they drink less.
What is it with Gordon Taylor? For me, as I said earlier, he seems like a relic, a bygone era kind of. He's out of place.
His only interest is protecting his enormous monster of a salary. That's the only thing that man's interested in. He's just a wage thief and an oxygen thief. Horrible man. Shouldn't be in the job.
How has he kept his job for so long?
I really do not get it.
I don't think he's going to be in that job much longer himself.
He's really not covered himself in any glory at all. I mean...
But when has he ever? Every time he does it, opens his mouth, you just think, God, that man's an imbecile. He just talks utter crap, and he always he just embarrasses you. You know what I mean? You just cringe at what he says every time he speaks. So,
this coronavirus and this self-isolation has really brought out in the worst in people, and you can really see it now. This idiot is... I mean, he should be advocating and endorsing. Listen, as much as we can give, we will give. As humanly possible, we will give. And come out with some kind of shine,
Well, I mean, you've got players like, the players like Wayne Rooney coming out and saying that, complaining about players being asked to take a pay cut because some can't afford it. But he seems to be forgetting that this is Premier League players we're talking about who all can afford it, not League Two players. Like, I mean, you've got 3 teams in lower leagues, Coventry City, Doncaster Rovers, Leyton Orient, have had to put their players on furlough. That's how little they earn. And that you fully understand they can't take a wage cut. But nobody's asking them to take a wage cut. The PFA are there to represent the Premier League players. Every single one of them earns more than I do in a lifetime, probably, each month. I mean, what's the average wage? £61,000 a week in the Premier League. I'm sorry, there's no way you can tell me they can't afford to take a pay cut. Don't care if they can't, it's their own fault.
Especially but people like Rooney putting their order in when he was on 350,000 a week in a 5-year contract. How can he have the audacity to come out and say that we're talking down to him when he's one of the biggest culprits?
But we should be talking down to him because he's too thick to understand basic English, let's be honest.
Yeah, he is, yeah.
Oh.
I mean, when you break it down like that, 61,000
Speak up
a
a
week.
bit, mate.
I'm just saying, at 61,000 a week, that's the lowest paid person.
No, that's
in
the
Premiership,
average
right?
wage.
Average wage, right? Average wage.
Yeah.
You can take a wage cut for 3-6 months, even, and still be quids in.
Yeah.
Exactly.
They're not in the same world as us, though, are they? The prima donnas aren't with them.
It's greed. It's just good old.
It is greed.
But just unadulterated greed. That's all it is. I mean, they just want to protect their ridiculously high wages. I mean, morally and humanitarianly, they should think to themselves, we are so frigging privileged.
But you've got to remember that the players themselves don't seem to agree with what the PFA are doing, which is why they've got together, Jordan Henderson, Troy Deeney, and, oh God, and I've forgotten the other one. Oh, Mark Noble, particularly, putting together this charity drive between them to donate huge chunks of their wages straight to charity because they're fed up waiting for the PFA to act.
Yeah.
If somebody said to me, if a chairman said to me, you know what, guys, everybody apart from the non-playing staff is going to give 50% of their wages to charity for 3 months, right? I'd be happy with that. I mean, if you can't live on 50% of 61 grand, then you're dumb, really.
30 grand a week. I mean, that's still $1.5 million a year.
I mean, but it's only going to be for 3 months, 4 months, just until the situation's
Yeah, but I'm saying, even if it wasn't, if you can't live on 30 grand a week, you've got a problem.
Yeah.
It's just, I mean, you shouldn't have to shame people into doing this. There's doctors and nurses are going out, they're dying for us.
But there must be an undercurrent here where, the players don't agree with what Taylor's doing or are looking for leadership of Taylor and they're not getting it. And that's why you can only applaud the likes of Henderson, Mark Noble and Troy Deeney for coming up with their own solution to it. And I applaud them for that. And, I'm waiting to see with bated breath what they're going to come up with. And I hope it's something really good to make an absolute show of Gordon Taylor and the way he's acted.
It's Billy, I agree with you. I concur. But I think it's easy to blame Gordon Taylor. I think there's a lot of them that don't want to give up their wages. I mean, if push comes to the shove, So,
but he's the leader, He's the leader.
And according to all the talks that have been going on, I think it was Ed 2, where is it? I'm sure he said that, like, the PFA have been considered obstructive at best.
Okay. Because if it was me, I'd have a dissenting voice on social media. There's plenty of platforms you can voice your dissent on. I would say, you know what, the PFA aren't doing nothing, and I want to give up my wages, whatever, blah, 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 percent of my wages, and this is what I'm going to do.
Well, maybe that's what Henderson and his cohorts are going to do from tomorrow, because we know that they're getting this thing together, but the actual details of it, it's yet to. But hopefully that's what they're going to do.
Yeah, and to be fair to the players, they don't want to break ranks with the PFA either, because that's their, that's their.
No, I can see that.
Well,
I can see that.
Yeah, and just to continue what I was saying, he did say before the meeting, right? Ed 2 was saying before they met on Friday with where is it? I've lost a bit. Yeah, the Premier League meeting on Friday. He said before it that Gordon Taylor and Neil Cusack of the PFA were due to be involved, and he did say himself that he hoped they didn't distract it, but afterwards he said they were just repeated interventions from them, and they were causing problems basically, and that's the problem, is that they're holding things up.
Why is it in their interest to hold things up? I don't understand. Surely it's in the
because Gordon Taylor gets paid a salary in depending on how much the PFA contributions are. The players pay a percentage of their wages to the PFA.
Oh, Oh, I see what I mean. So he has to. Okay, gotcha.
So these people at the PFA, they're employed there. If the wages go
Fed
down, the
their own
PFA
mess.
gets less money. That's what's the worry is. At the end of the day, that's what Gordon Taylor's worried about. He gets an obscene salary because the PFA can afford it because they get a percentage of every player's salary.
So he gets a few dollars less every month for 3 months. I don't get it. I just don't understand. Everybody's got to be sacrificial at this moment in time.
Well, it's not like he can't afford it. He gets he gets paid millions a year. I mean, for what? For what does he do? Nothing. They've not done anything about racism. They've not done anything about any of the problems that we could come up with, and they've done nothing but obstruct this. They paid a deferral now. The PFA are a problem, not a help, and they should be helping players.
Well, the cure is. I mean, this leads us on to. I think this leads us nicely on to the next topic we're going to talk about the difference in attitude of players during self-isolation. I mean, the PFA should be doing something instead of what's the word? Excuse me. Advocating for these guys.
Instead of like players showing pictures of themselves swimming in their swimming pools at home.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think there should be a directive. I mean, the guys should be saying to them, look, guys, you know what I mean? There's a war here going on. You know, this is crass what you guys do. I mean, it's just I don't get it. These players are dumb, man. You know that
they're not in the real world.
The people are dying. You know what I mean? People haven't got, and they're showing their swimming pools and their Bugattis and their. I don't get it. Are you
or
so
sex parties
or whatever? Yeah. Are you so disconnected? Yeah. Are you so disconnected from the common man that you have no idea that this is going to offend people?
But they haven't come out and had a go at Jack Grealish. They haven't had a go at the other lad from City, Kyle Walker, who have blatantly gone out and flouted basically what everyone's been told to isolate. And they're going out and having parties. And what have the PFA done about it? Absolutely nothing. Yeah, they should come out and voice their disgust at what they're doing.
I mean, you look at the difference as well with someone like Jerome Boateng in Germany, and he's got fined for leaving Munich. Fair play. He said he'll accept any fine because he had to do it because his 4-year-old son was sick and he had to go and see him. Now, you understand that?
Yeah, that's fair enough.
You can, you understand why he's taken the fine and any punishment coming to him for doing that. But then you look at Jack Grealish and Kyle Walker, and you just think, you idiots. It's just, you're just imbeciles.
Listen, right? Any other time, right? Fair play to Kyle Walker, right? But in a national crisis, you're banging hookers, you're putting your life at risk, you're putting their lives at risk. And then you've got role models. The kids are looking up to you.
Exactly. Exactly.
They've got their fans, and it's okay for when their mum's telling the kids to stay in. You've got to isolate, and he's thinking, well, Kyle Walker's going out and about.
Yeah, Jack Grealish is still out staggering around and crashing his car into all sorts.
I mean, and the PFA should be coming down so hard on these people. They should be getting fined from their clubs and the PFA
and the FA. As well.
Exactly.
Why haven't the FA come out and done anything with Jack Grealish? I mean, his club fined him immediately, and he admitted he'd done wrong. So where were the FA as well? Why aren't they acting on this?
I completely agree, mate. And listen, and we've got to say the majority of footballers are behaving themselves and being real role models. You know, so that's that we have to mention that. But listen, it should be 100% all the time. You know, this is a national emergency. I mean, you're role models. You're shaping people's minds. The young, impressionable kids. You should be going out banging hookers.
Yeah, I don't know. Just there's time and a place for everything. If you want to make a fool of yourself, go out and have a good time. Do it when you're not, when there's not a national emergency going on.
Exactly. Any other time, you know what? I'd fair play
Care
to the
less.
guy.
It wouldn't be none of my business, basically. But if they what they going to do when if they catch it now, or they encourage other people to go out who then spread it?
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah. I don't know what.
There's a problem in the UK as well, anyway, with people going out anyway, isn't there, Bill?
There is, yeah. Some people just aren't taking it. And as Chris said before, these are role models. And when they see people doing it, you know, oh, it's all right for him to do it, so I can do it. It's not that way. It's serious, this. It's a really serious problem.
Hey, he's gone quiet. I thought he was going to...
No.
I was waiting for you to carry... I was waiting for you... I was just taking a swig of me drink thinking he's off on a rant here. I can sit back and wait for him to finish, and then he just stopped.
I don't do rants.
Really am not used to all this courtesy, Tristan. I'm really not.
Well, I thought Billy was on his soapbox. I thought we can just sit back and have a drink here. And he just stops.
I think that listen, for me, what hit home was when younger people started dying, and kids, and you know, it's just not people who underline
nurses
not
and
the only ones
doctors as
vulnerable.
well.
Yeah, but they I mean, it's all, from what I gather, it's all about the viral load, how serious you get it, and they're in the front line. I mean, they're getting coughed at, sneezed on, and like.
But
So
it's
their
not being
viral
helped
load
by
on
these kids going out and spreading it, though, is what I'm saying.
No,
it isn't.
Not at all. Not at all. It should come from the top, and it should come from the government. There should be a lockdown. It's the only way this is gonna. Obviously, the self-isolation thing isn't working.
No.
In the UK, people are too stupid to take any notice.
In Britain, some of especially the younger ones, are.
Oh, here we go. Blame it on the kids. Go on, old
I've
man.
got to bring it on the kids because
In the good old days, this didn't happen.
No, because
Winston Churchill would have been on TV and he'd have seen us to put a stop to that, wouldn't he, Billy?
We saw the Spanish flu out.
all those elder ones.
Billy was thinking the Spanish Armada.
We're the ones in the front line because, especially you've got underlying illness as well. It's a death warrant. It really is, and people are still meeting. You see people on the internet, people still congregating, and it's still happening, and it shouldn't.
Well, we've got to say it's not just an English problem; it's a worldwide problem.
It is, yeah, it is a worldwide problem.
And what's your underlying disease, Billy? Being an Everton fan?
Yeah, it really is.
Puts him at risk of a lot of things.
Yeah, exactly.
Misery.
Unhappiness. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Yeah. Same page there, mate.
But the way the club are acting, I'm proud of.
Well, you have to have something to be proud of.
Yeah, forget about football.
Yeah.
I'm just
when
proud
there's
of it.
no football on, you can be proud of the club. it's only when they're playing it's a problem.
Absolutely.
It's a sad day when your club doesn't have to do anything to be better than our club. Let's digress slightly, move on a bit. UEFA lifting ban on 3 p.m. kickoffs indefinitely during the coronavirus.
In Scotland and England, that is.
Yeah.
That was because normally they can't tell it. You can't in England and Scotland. They don't show live 3 p.m. kickoffs because they're worried it'll affect the League One and League Two attendances. Which obviously, as I was saying to Billy earlier when we were discussing this earlier while we were waiting for you because we had about 5 hours spare. Anyway, yeah, they teams like I was going to say Bury, but obviously they don't exist anymore. But we'll use them as an example. Most of their fans will be Man City or Man United fans who come on the weekends that they're away. And then they'll go and watch Bury on their day off. You know what I mean? It's like Ed 3. He goes and watches other teams when Blackpool aren't at home, doesn't he? He goes and watches.
Yeah, he does,
is
yeah.
it Fleetwood or someone? I can't remember.
Yeah.
Other local teams anyway around the area. He'll go and watch them when Blackpool are away, and that's what a lot of the lower league teams rely on. So this is a worrying situation if they don't put the block straight back on after this, because this has obviously been set up with the plan being that they can play the Premier League games behind closed doors, televise them all, so they won't lose so the TV won't claim their money back. Televise it all as a big tour, as a behind closed doors and maybe a big tournament basis, whatever. You know what I mean? Just to get the season finished.
Yeah.
But it worries me that this whole thing is, going to stay. Once it's finished, and then they'll be able to show them all round, show them in England and that, and all the lower league teams are going to suffer even more than they already have. That's if any of them survive this.
Hey, quick question. Going back to the, I just thought of going back to the soccer players giving up their wages. What about the players that live in tax havens? What happens there? Like I don't know, Monaco.
Well, I don't know what you mean. What are you talking about?
Well, if you don't pay tax,
Yeah.
say for example in Monaco, how are you supposed to contribute? You just pay out your wages, I suppose, then, or just...
Well, they just have to give a donation.
Gotcha. All right, that was easy.
Yeah, that's why you lost me, because they didn't really...
Yeah, we were mainly concentrating on the Premier.
Yeah, because it's the Premier League that's the big problem. I mean, you look around the world. I mean, Barcelona players, 70% wage deferral. Atletico Madrid, 70% wage deferral. Borussia Dortmund, is it 30% they've given up? Bayern Munich players have taken, loads. Most of the teams are taking a deferral. It's just around the world. I mean, the Bundesliga are all getting together to help each other out. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Just in England, where it seems to be like, stick the middle finger up to all the little clubs because we don't care.
Pull the ladder up, Jack.
Yeah, I'm all right.
Isn't it 13 out of 36 Bundesliga's clubs will go out of business?
They're facing insolvency procedures at the end of May.
If they don't, at the end,
if it doesn't resume by the end of May, yeah. And
that's a massive number, isn't it? Out of 36.
Yeah, they've got 36 in the Bundesliga, the top two flights in Germany, the two professional leagues there. I mean, a huge country like that and it can't support more clubs is quite surprising.
That's staggering, yeah.
It's like a house of cards, isn't it? It's built on a foundations of sand. I didn't realise football was this brittle. I mean, you always thought because there's gazillions and billions going into it, you'd have thought it's really robust. But it's not really. Underneath, there's a veneer.
There's no long-term thinking. They all just plan on, everything's thrown at every season.
Paycheck to paycheck, yeah, pretty much.
My worry is that what's going to happen is all the little clubs are going to fold, and this is going to be used as an excuse to start the European Super League when we come back.
Yeah, I can see that.
That's what I think's going to happen. Yeah, that's what I think's the thing. Get rid all the clubs that can't afford it, go out of business, and sod them. We'll just set up a European Super League for the ones that can.
I think it's just confirming what we've all been saying. Greed of the top clubs, the Premier League especially.
Well, you've got to remember why the Premier Leagues were set up. The Scottish Premier League was set up because Celtic and Rangers were upset about sharing the money equally in Scotland when they have the biggest fan base. So they wanted to take more money for themselves. And they made more money for themselves, but they destroyed the league, the competitiveness of the league as a result. The Premier League, the English Premier League, saw this and thought, hang on, they're getting all this money. We're having to share it with as was then Division 2, Division 3, Division 4. We could keep all that money for ourselves in the top flight. And so they set up the Premier League, and that's what it's all about, greed. More money for themselves and not wanting to share it.
And it's going to happen with the European League.
Yeah,
It's the next phase of that master plan.
Yeah, it won't be for me though. I don't think I'd bother with that. I've got no interest in watching Liverpool play Barcelona every week. You know what I mean? It's okay if it's a one-off in when you've had to qualify to get in the Champions League and then you play them in the Champions League, because it doesn't happen very often. It's a big game. But if it's every single season you're playing Barcelona, I've got no interest. I couldn't give a toss about Barcelona. How many Barcelona fans do I know?
Yeah. How many normal fans would be able to travel to away games every other week in Europe and all over the continent?
It's already too many as it is with this, the way they've got the Champions League and that set up. There's too many games as it is.
Yeah, but surely the respective chairman and the governing bodies will know that the customers, the fans, don't have the stomach for this breakaway league.
TV league, the TV, it's all about the TV money, isn't it? That's where the money is.
Yeah, they don't really care. Yeah, they don't care about the band on the street going to the games.
Exactly, and then they'll wonder why there's no atmosphere, and the sport will die as a result, because the atmosphere is what makes it so good.
Yeah.
Talking about the Champions League, the UEFA president Alexander Ceferin has said that if they don't play the Champions League, and UEFA will be abandoned if they don't start by September. Well,
if they don't restart,
he said can't play. Yeah, he said we can't play it out in September or October.
Yeah, well, I think that's pretty obvious, really. What else could they do?
I mean, this is really unprecedented. I mean, it's going to be. I mean, we've all just got to take it how it is. I mean, it's no good complaining about it. I mean, we're probably ones to suffer the most as Liverpool fans. If we have to abandon the season, call it null and void, so be it. I mean,
I don't know, because we're out of Europe, so we've got that. If they cancelled that out, at least we would have. We still hold on to the Europeans. We're still European and world champions.
I remember when we lost to Atletico Madrid and in the semis. Sorry, not the semis. A few weeks ago.
Quarters,
Quarters. Sorry.
You just had a semi at the time. That's what you were thinking of.
Somebody just said, I was editing. Somebody said, you better gut it. No, not really, because I thought that they'd cancel it anyway. They'd abandon it. And I said, not really, because I know nobody's going to win it this season. People thought I was being flippant. I was being honest,
Yeah,
I
can't see anything finishing this year.
That's interesting. I think they'll move heaven and earth to finish the Premiership.
I do. I agree with you.
The problem they got, you play it behind closed doors, and you saw what happened in Italy and Spain and France when they tried to do that. People just get, the morons just gather outside the stadium anyway.
But the thing is, the stomach for.
Mind, at least you get rid. Maybe it's a good way to get rid of the morons. If you just get them all there and they all get infected, you get rid of them. It's like it's kind of like a good way to improve society, maybe.
Yeah, but can you imagine the viewing figures? But even for a behind closed doors, people are dying for sport. I mean, I know UFC 249. I mean, I know it's in bad taste because they want to.
Are they still? Is that still going on? Because they got refused entry here because they were supposed to be taking place here, wasn't it?
I think it's on the verge of collapsing. But
it won't take place. Because where can they hold it?
I think they tried Russia. They tried Abu Dhabi. They tried obviously Florida. They tried New York. They cancelled New York anyway. I think they had somewhere in Florida, and then that folded. I just don't see it happening. But the point I'm making is that the public at home want it. They'll buy it.
Well,
any kind of sport.
Well, the thing is, esports is getting a good boost from this. It must be said.
Which one?
Esports. You know what? Gaming, video gaming.
Oh yeah.
I mean, I got you. Well, me and Bilbo are of a certain age. We have no idea.
I'm just in touch with the youngins. That's all. The youth of today and all that.
You're a hip guy.
Yeah, I'm like a modern day Janet Street. No, wait, I don't want to go there. Youth market. That's how you say it. A youth.
Youth, yeah. YUF.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, can you imagine the first game that's going to be played? There'll be a huge television audience. There might not be anybody in the pitch, I mean, in the ground, but in the stands, sorry, but it'll be a huge television audience.
Yeah, they could they guarantee plenty of people watching it, but unless they have advertising revenue, it's not going to matter. And who's going to have, advertising budgets are the first thing to be slashed when something like this happens.
Yeah, you're correct.
That's why people like myself are in trouble as well, because obviously the first thing that gets slashed is advertising budgets. So even if we got 20 times as many hits on the websites at the moment, we're going to earn a pittance. We're just going to not earn anything because there's no budget for it, and that's the problem the TV channels are going to have.
So you think, Tristan, no to finishing the season, and Billy, you think they're going to finish it, correct?
I think they're going to finish it, yeah. I think if they're going to come out with any credibility, because why start a new one if the one they've got isn't finished?
I think, I've said that it depends on when it happens, when you can start again. If you can't start until like March next year, there's no point. There's no point starting a new one. You may as well just finish off the old one and then you can carry on.
Absolutely.
But if it's like September time when you can start again, you're going to struggle to fit in 2 seasons in time. So you might end. So then they will null and void it then. But the problem is, what I'm saying is, they're probably going to null and void it at like July, August time, and then not be able to play until March, and it's going to look like a stupid decision. That's what's going to happen, I'm telling you.
I think it would be a stupid decision, though.
What I would do, I would finish this season off and extend next season.
Well, yeah, just play it over a longer period or shorter period.
Or a shorter period, just play each other once. And everybody knows the score.
Or just have a have a massive break after the football, after this season's finished, and then start the new, so everyone knows where they're at, can get themselves sorted, because you're going to have a load of transfers and all that to do.
Yeah.
All the contracts to sort out and all that.
The Euros as well.
No, they've been moved. 2021.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, but then if you extend next season, it impacts those as well.
Yeah, exactly. Well, that's what I was saying about if you don't finish, if you get to March and you try and fit in another season, you're going to struggle. So I'm saying it's a stupid idea to make a decision. I know they keep saying, but it's putting everyone in limbo. But everybody's in bloody limbo anyway because we're all in quarantine. So what does it matter?
Yeah.
You can't. You're not going to change anything by making a decision now. It doesn't change anything.
I think we've got till July at the latest we've still got 3 months and the season could be finished.
I don't think there's a time constraint on it. I think it's got to be finished when it's got to be finished. Doesn't matter whether that goes into next June. We've got to finish this season.
But they could easily play 3 games a week, easily, and get this season finished.
Wow. It depends on what you mean by 3. They could pay,
a midweek game.
Yeah, that's not necessarily 3 a week, though, is it?
No, it's 2 a week, basically.
How many? Yeah, but they're the Champions League games as well for the people in Champions League.
No, they've already. You can't. If it's got to play 2 games a week, and you're going to need more time.
What is the? Well, no, you can play Saturday, Wednesday, Saturday. That's 3 games a week.
No, it's not.
Well, only 2 really, because it's the duty of next week.
That's 8 days. You're in the following week then. The second Saturday is the following week.
Saturday, 7 days.
Yeah, but you're taking the Saturday of next week.
Yeah.
It's 2 games a week if you play maybe.
Oh, God, this is hard work then.
All right, 3 games every 8 days if you want to be pedantic. What was I going to say to you? So, yeah, I I don't know. I think there's still time. Stephen Kenny being taking over Ireland. Any thoughts?
Oh right, I didn't realize. Well, he was going to anyway. It's only because of this. The Euros being moved that it's happened early. Because Mick McCarthy was going to lead him into the Euros. Same with Denmark.
He was going anyway.
It was the same with Denmark. The guy who was going to take over has replaced him now. They've done the same thing.
Gotcha.
So it's just a case of it was already planned, but there's no, the Euros have been cancelled, so move back. I mean, there's no point, is there?
Good appointment.
Don't know. I mean, he's done well with the youth, but only time will tell if he's any good because I don't know enough about him. I noticed they're on about the Olympics because they're going to move that on a year. They're on about changing the age limit for players on there for instead of under 23s to under 24s as well, aren't they? Because it's a year later.
No, I
see
see.
what you mean, yeah. Hey, has Salah got to go to the Olympics and the African Cup?
He hasn't got to go. They haven't, but it still hasn't been decided yet. What the hell's he doing? What was that? What was that noise then? Oh, you're both gone, that's why. Oh, Jesus. I think it's the my internet must have gone off and that's what that noise was, I think. I hope that's what it was anyway, because I'm quite worried about what that sound could have been. Maybe I should sing you a tune while you're waiting. Wow. Don't know if it'd be a tune if I was singing it, though, would it, Sam? Oh, he's back. They're back.
This is really good. I mean, for one thing's for sure, I don't see Salah moving anywhere the next season now.
It's going to affect a lot of transfers this season.
Yeah.
There's not going to be as much money in the game for the start.
And they've still got to figure things out, like the ones that have already been agreed, because quite a few of them. Ziyech, for one, off the top of my head. Bayern have bought a goalkeeper, Nubel. Players like that have already agreed deals to join clubs. They're going to have to be rejigged. Especially if they have to extend the season.
Yeah.
They're not going to be able to play for their new clubs in this season.
And also, I think what's going to happen is transfer fees are going to come down.
Yeah, I was thinking, I've got to admit, I was thinking that the other day. I was thinking the Ziyech thing seemed like a good, clever bit of business to do for Chelsea at the point when they did it. Now it looks like they probably should have waited because they could have got half as much.
Now, let me ask you a question about, say, for example, reportedly Tino Werner's got this €51 million release clause. Is that still valid? Because most people can't afford that now. Probably, I'm not saying I know that, but what happens? A release clause? Does that count for anything? Release clauses, or
I don't know in Germany. I know what they do in Spain. They have to have them in, and if your player pays that himself, it means their contract's ended. It's like it's almost a buyout of their contract, basically.
Oh, you get nothing for Pickford now.
That's a lot more than they would have got before. In fact, his value's probably increasing while they're not playing.
Yeah. At 1.4 million, Preston, we're going to pay you, mate. Take your price for that.
Preston wouldn't pay that much for him. Oh, do you mean Everton were paying?
Oh, yeah. Paying his fee and his wages, yeah. What's the next item on the agenda?
No, we had any more. Thought we were through them all.
We've got one more. That's UEFA threatening European bans for leagues that end the season now.
Oh, yes. Yeah, that's because the Belgian league ended theirs. And they weren't sure no one else did. Because obviously it messes with the calendar if Italy and Belgium have ended theirs now, but Spain, France, and Germany and England carry on, then the European season's a bit of a mess next season, isn't it? If they start at a different time. So, yeah, it just messes with the calendar, and they want everyone to try and stick to a rigid calendar. But the problem is, there's countries like Belgium, for instance, and Scotland, where there's no money in the game. They can't afford to just wait.
Yeah. I mean, let's congratulate Simon Mignolet. He left Liverpool and won the title.
Who'd have thought it? And he had some good games as well. Where did that come from? Obviously, sitting on the bench watching Alisson play taught him how to be a keeper.
Oh, mate. I liked him. I thought he was
he's
okay.
lovely.
Really nice guy, man.
I really like it. No, I can't say as a person, lovely guy, but I wasn't a good keeper, was he?
Terrible keeper, though, wasn't he?
But, I mean, you say, perhaps he has improved working with Alisson's brought on his game, you know what I mean? You do learn off playing with better people.
Yeah, look at the ex-Arsenal player, a keeper. He went to, how do you pronounce it?
Szczesny.
Yeah, he's not bad. He's a better keeper than he was at Arsenal.
Yeah, better coaching staff, though, to be fair, away from Arsenal. He's actually getting coached now. So, there's quite a few ex-Arsenal goalkeepers around who've improved. It was the same with in the old days, same with a lot of Liverpool players. As soon as they left Liverpool, they suddenly become much better players because they were getting coached better, than the days under like Houllier and that, where the coaching was terrible. Klopp's changed that.
Yeah.
You get a lot of players do improve when they get. It's the coaching that it does make a huge difference.
Yeah, but also it's to do with culture and geography as well. If you're not happy somewhere,
I'm not sure geography comes into that.
I think weight of expectation. When you're at a top club, you've got to have a top mentality, and if you haven't got it, you might flourish in a league or a club that's not as high profile. There's less pressure on you to perform every week.
I'm not sure that was it with Mignolet. I just think he wasn't good enough for Liverpool. And he improved under the recent coaching and working with a better keeper in Alisson instead of like other. I mean, John Achterberg's come on in leaps and bounds in the last few years as a coach. And he's benefited from that, I think, Mignolet.
Nah.
Klopp has some real trust in Hackenberg, doesn't he?
Oh, very much so. He's improved massively. You can see the difference. The coaching he's doing is now. He's finished his coaching courses and stuff. It makes a big difference. You know what I mean? He was a learner when we appointed him, which is a strange decision for a club the size of Liverpool to appoint a novice. But they've seen something in him, and he's obviously got something about him.
Well, they appointed Rodgers, didn't they? So
well, yeah, that's true. So maybe they're not the best judges of characters, but they were right in this case, it seems.
I mean, he's the one that pinpointed Alisson, wasn't it? He's been looking at him for years, even before he went to Roma.
Yeah,
when he was
I'd
playing
just
in
like
Brazil.
to point out, I was also doing the same, saying that he was a great keeper, and even when before he went to there, and when he went to Roma, I was saying it when he spent a year on the bench. I suggested him. So I can understand why actually he was a quality keeper. Always has been.
So credit to Alisson for you. Credit to you for Alisson's success. Correct?
Yes. If they'd have listened to me, we'd be much better off. We wouldn't have had to wait 30 years to not win it.
So we'd have beaten Watford and Man United this season, and we'd have won the.
No, we'd have won it. We'd have won it years ago, because we'd have had a better team when Klopp came in. We certainly wouldn't have had Andy Carroll if they'd listened to me.
No, he was a bad boy, Andy Carroll.
I don't know. Underneath the right coach, the right circumstances, I thought he could be a weapon.
No, he was a lamppost. That was it.
He had the right attitude. I thought he could have been a weapon.
He's a drunken bum, and he just doesn't deserve to be playing Premier League football. Not got the right attitude. He's got the ability, but he's a lazy shit on the pitch. You watch him; he doesn't run enough. And when he does,
Well, he can't. His knees are
well,
gone.
yeah, exactly. That's what I'm saying. When he does, he's too slow and sluggish, and he's there to be a target man for a lower league club. That's all he's good at. Hoof it up
I
to
don't
him.
think.
That's it.
I don't think anybody would take a risk on him now. No.
No.
I mean,
No.
he's on a pay-as-you-play at Newcastle, isn't he? I think he owes Newcastle money.
I was going to say, I'm not sure he's getting paid. You know, City
All right,
shouldn't be paid now.
It's been emotional again.
Oh,
Yeah.
Oh,
I think we should do one tomorrow.
should we do a sing-song to end it with then? Since I've spent most of this bloody singing on my own.
And if you know your history.
We'll follow your lead, Tristan.
Well, Bilbo would love it if we sang "You'll Never Walk Alone." I know that, mate.
I'd turn my computer off.
Isn't it?
Start singing.
I heard you bought it. That's why it was #1 in the charts, mate.
Breaking news. Prime Minister Boris Johnson has been admitted to hospital for tests 10 days after testing positive for coronavirus.
Has he?
Said.
So what
Yeah.
test is that? To see if he's got a brain, or check to see how many of the kids around the world that aren't behaving are actually is? Well, I mean, you know, what tests he going in for?
No, in all seriousness, guys, you don't want him to be on either. I mean, it's his health, you know. So
Honestly,
hope
I
he,
couldn't give a toss,
mate.
to be honest. No, honestly, couldn't give a toss. Sorry.
it's a tough crowd today. Isn't
Horrible
it, Billy?
man who's made his career out of slagging other people off. He deserves everything he gets.
I'm not his biggest fan, but I wouldn't wish that on anybody, I'll be honest.
Yeah.
I wouldn't
He's
wish
no
it on
Margaret
most
Thatcher,
people,
is he?
but
Let's
here
face it.
Margaret Thatcher and a few others, I don't care. Rupert
Margaret
Murdoch,
Thatcher, I'd have wished it
fine.
on her.
Rupert Murdoch,
Thatcher
catch
has-
anything, I don't care.
I know Thatcher has a special place in your heart, Tristan.
Oh yeah. I say in
Hey,
Ed
remember
33 when I said I'd always said for years the only time I'll ever drink again is when Maggie dies. I'll have a glass of champagne to celebrate. And when she got the clock, he came round with a couple of bottles.
Well, we're celebrating now.
I remember they used to call her Thatcher the milk snatcher because she took all the free milk
Yeah.
away from
Yeah,
schools.
that's before my time, like, but
Oh, I remember it.
Right. Hey, you remember them little mini bottles of milk? They were lovely.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's the only time I got to drink milk. My parents couldn't afford milk.
yeah, right. You're the posh southerner to us core northerners.
Not everybody in the south had money, you know, Tristan.
Yeah.
I don't believe what they tell you in the papers, mate.
Don't believe the hype,
Black and
eh?
whites. Don't believe everything you saw on your black and white TV.
I did have a
Oh,
black
sorry,
and white
your
TV
wireless,
when I was a
your
kid.
wireless. Of course, everyone did.
Yeah, I was going to say
You
we
have
all
a-
did, and you had to spend hours moving the aerial around to try and get a picture. And by the time you
That's
found
right.
the picture, the program you wanted to watch had always bloody finished.
We had a frying pan as an aerial.
What do you mean we talk about here? It was a coat hanger.
Yeah, well, I call it
Yeah,
an
we
aerial.
had a
It's an
frying pan.
aerial. Frying
Don't try
pan.
and tell-
How
don't
the hell
try
did you
and-
come up with a frying pan? It's a bit expensive, isn't it? Everybody else just had a wire coat hanger. Or a piece of wire
hanger,
shoved
mate.
in the slot.
Yeah.
And if a valve went in the back, that was it.
Do you know what I
One
did?
of the valves went in the
I
back.
think that's before my time, valves. But anyway, yeah, I used to have mine. I had a wire in the back of it, and then it wrapped onto my radiator. So my radiator was worked as an aerial. Got a perfect picture. Well, I say perfect. Obviously, it's not. It wasn't like we get nowadays. But I mean, in those days, you were just glad if you could see through the snow, weren't you?
Yeah. Yeah.
You didn't
you
want to
remember
watch.
getting
If
your
it was a
first-
wilderness program about winter, you didn't see a bloody thing, could you?
Do you remember getting your first video? The ones those VCRs that you that press the button down.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you remember when remote
I
controls?
got a
used to have
Betamax.
Yeah, you would
Yeah.
have. You probably still
My
have.
first one was a
I
Betamax.
bet
It
you
was.
still have, haven't you?
Oh, did you have a Betamax?
I had a Betamax, yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
that must have been really poor.
No, Rich,
Or
because they were
Rich, wasn't it? So,
expensive.
yeah,
they were
Rich,
better
Rich.
quality.
Yeah. 'Cause
Only
that's
the rich had them.
Smaller tapes.
Yeah, only the rich
you
had
were
them.
rich.
You could tell he was
Or you
posh.
robbed it, Billy, or you robbed it.
No, I'm not a robber.
So, go, you can admit to that because there's statute of limitations. You can't get arrested now. You robbed it, didn't you, Billy?
No, I've actually bought a Betamax.
He's rich, is Billy. He had a Betamax. You can tell, posh boy. That's why he plays
A couple of my
tennis.
mates had Betamax, so I bought a Betamax. Worst thing I ever done.
Tennis as well.
Did you have do you remember the remote controls though? You used to plug it in and you'd have a wire trailing from it.
Yeah.
I can guarantee that it never
8
stretched
meters
far enough to you to
Well,
actually
someone would
sit
trip
on-
over it.
Yeah, or trip over the cage. But it never stretched to the chair, did it? It never
No.
quite reached. You still had to get up. I think that's why my
Yeah.
mum and dad had me as a kid, just so I could turn the TV
Well, the
over
remote
and stuff.
control,
Yeah, that was all I was.
Remote control.
I'll turn the TV over, will you? I remember we thought we were posh when you got buttons that changed the channel automatically rather than having a dial that you had to adjust to try and
Yeah.
tune it in. Do you remember that?
Yeah, tune it in like a radio, yeah.
And it used to take hours to find the picture. We used to have little
Remember that,
Tipex markings on where it was.
Yeah. Hey, do you remember that on the gold? Sorry, on the colour TVs, you got that girl with the teddy bear.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Tic tac toe ball. What was it? Oh,
It was
on BBC2,
plasticine, wasn't it, or something?
No, it was. You know when there was no programming in the middle
Yeah,
of the night
but I
or
mean, it
something?
was
Yeah.
made of plasticine, wasn't it?
The test card.
Was it?
Yeah, test cards.
Oh,
That's
the
it.
test card. That's it. The test
Yeah.
card. That's it. Well done, Bill. I thought that was. I thought that was a real a furry toy. I didn't realise it was plasticine.
I don't know. I'm asking.
good
I'm
for that.
asking. I can't remember. I was thinking.
No, I think it was a doll. It was a doll. A
Oh,
girl with. Well, I think it was, wasn't it? Or a teddy.
It was definitely a girl with the headband. That's all I remember.
Yeah.
Ah, here we go. I'm looking up the image.
And that's like noughts and crosses. I think it had
BBC
a
Two. It
That's
was.
thing
it.
with-
BBC Two. It was a little girl
Noughts and crosses.
playing noughts and crosses. But what is that? I don't know what that is with her.
I'm not sure.
I don't know what that is.
I can't see it.
I'm looking at the picture and I'm still not sure what it is.
Billy, I'm going to send it to you. I'm going to send it to you now.
I
Okay.
have no idea what the bloody hell that is.
What? You mean the thing next to her?
Yeah. What is it?
It's not a scarecrow. It's the weirdest thing, isn't it?
It's a clown, but I mean, I thought it was made of plasticine when I was a kid. And I'm saying, oh, that's your text coming through with the picture.
Yeah, it is.
I
Nice.
still don't know what it
I
is. I
wonder
know
where
it's a
that girl- I
clown,
wonder
but
where that girl is now.
she
I
must be
wonder where
about
that girl is
85 by now. It's probably Billy's age.
That is the weirdest thing. I never noticed that.
Yeah.
It's a rag doll. That's what it is.
What's
I
a
always
rag?
wanted to know what she. I always wanted to know what she was going to put next on the board, a cross or.
Yeah.
I'll never know.
Wake up all night thinking about that. That's a rag
Yeah.
doll.
Honestly, I don't know what a rag doll is. Never seen
Oh,
one.
right. A rag doll's a doll like the kids made years.
You'll find out when you go to prison, Tristan. Don't you worry, pal.
You get ragged all over the place. Yeah.
on that beautiful image, I'm going to love you and leave you guys.
Oh, thank
Yeah,
you
I'm
for
up
that.
with-
Oh, thank you.
All right, guys. See you next time.
Been a
This
pleasure,
is
guys.
weird.
See
This
you
is the
next
worst
time.
thing about quarantine is having to speak to you every week. Take care,
Or
mate.
3 times.
Yeah, see you next time, boys.
Yeah,
Yeah,
love
see
you.
guys.
Thanks a lot.
Love you.
Ta-ra.
Bye bye.
Bye.